Hey, soldiers, I'm out here working and something important came across the transom. I want to go over it with you. Now, look, you know the whole thing with Bud Light. We've been covering it every which way from Sunday. Well, in a manner of speaking, I think those who were boycotting the beer, the brand, they have won. Okay, now look, there are two groups that are protesting this thing. The conservatives, who have been a bit more vociferous than the LGBT community, although the LGBT community, they went one step further and said we're boycotting all of Anheuser-Busch's brands in certain bars in California, at least. Okay, so you've got two communities pretty much that represent both sides of the political spectrum that have just put down Bud Light, at least. And this has resulted in the dethroning of Bud Light as America's #1 beer. Modelo Especial has taken its place, all right? So I think that the damage to Bud Light is irreparable at this point. Look, guys, the other thing I want to throw out there is a very important signal has been thrown up here, okay? In this culture war that we find ourselves in, all right? Now, look, I make no bones about it. I'm a conservative, okay? I think that conservative values are something that should be adopted as the culture of the United States of America, quite frankly, because we see on the left, at least what the left is today, they're anti-free speech, okay? They are political persecutors, all right? They're for military intervention around the world. This is like the exact opposite of what they used to be, right? And then the other thing is they being the left, they're not comfortable or accepting of you being accepting. You can't say, listen, that lifestyle's not for me, but hey, more power to you. If it makes you happy, you go and, you enjoy your liberty, okay? Not for me, though, okay? I don't agree with it. You can't do that, all right? You must swallow it, hook, line, and sinker. You must accept it. You must adopt the reality of the left, even if it, for example, conflicts with biological science, all right? Something you can see in a microscope. And if you don't do that, you're a bigot, you're a racist, you're homophobe, okay? You can't say something like, if you're white and you say, well, hey, look, I don't see color. I just judge people based on the content of their character. Oh, you're a racist. That makes you a racist, okay? So what has happened here? Because in this country, typically, the right doesn't have an opportunity to protest like the left because conservatives are working, okay? Conservatives are out there building businesses. Conservatives are constructing the framework of an economy that will even allow lazy people to just lounge around all day and maybe go to a protest every now and then, okay, in the middle of the day. All right. So, of course, I'm not talking about all leftists, but look, this is how they have chosen to brand themselves. All right. So what we've seen here with this Bud Light, I don't want to use the word imbroglio. I'm using that too much. With this Bud Light incident is we've seen that conservatives have found their method of effective protest. And guess what? The left can't do a damn thing about it. You know why? Because you can't dock somebody who just chooses not to buy Bud Light, right? Okay? You can't go in and say, hey, this person should lose their job because they didn't buy this product. You can't shame someone on social media because they didn't buy a product. This boycott has been extremely effective. It has basically ruined decades, damn near a century of brand building. Gone, just like that, okay? So that's one of the 48 laws of power, actually, guarding your reputation. Bud didn't do that, okay? They tried to be edgy. They hired Heiner Schein, and she just, I'm a businesswoman. Really? Can't tell by the $27 billion loss Bud Light has suffered, right? So look, guys, as I always say, go ahead and like by hitting that thumbs up. You are this audience. I've never seen an audience that is so in love with that thumbs up button. Hit it and let the YouTube algorithm know that this is something that should be shared widely. If you have not enlisted and become a soldier of finance, hit the subscribe button right now. That is your method of enlistment. Let me know you did so in the comments. I will salute you. And look, I'm going to be putting more and more content on that members only section, the Officers Club. I've got some content going on there today. As a matter of fact, you want to hit that join button, learn about what we're offering. I'm telling you, this is, remember Lindsey Graham went over to Kyiv in the Ukraine the other day, and he said, this is the best money we ever spent. Talking about American taxpayer money, more of it going to Ukraine. He looked at Volodymyr Zelensky. He had a little twinkle in his eye when he looked at him. It's the best money we ever spent. Well, the best money you will ever spend, okay, among the best money you'll ever spend, is by joining the Officers Club here at the Soldiers of Finance. Look, let's get into this. Bud Light. My grandmother used to have a saying that she would say when somebody messed up real bad. If the kids are in the room, hide their delicate little ears in 3, 2, 1. My grandmother would say, he shit and stepped in it. We may now return to the family portion of the program. Salute! Modelo Especial dethrones Bud Light as America's #1 selling beer after 22 years. Okay, so it hasn't quite been a century, but it's been decades, okay, that they've been there, and the brand's been out there for longer. The Budweiser brand's been out there for longer than 22 years, much longer. Sales up 15% on last year, talking about Modelo, as boycotting boozers turn backs on Bud Light over disastrous tie-up with the social media influencer who shall not be named here on YouTube. Modelo Especial has now dethroned Bud Light as the top-selling beer. In the 4 weeks ending May 28, Modelo Especial store sales soared past $333 million, a 15.6% rise on the same period last year. So not only did they lose $27 billion, okay, but they basically helped their competitors big time, okay, especially Modelo. And yes, Modelo in America is a competitor. Now, a lot of people believe, and it is true, that when InBev purchased brands over here in America, that they purchased Modelo as well. Well, they did for overseas sales. The Federal Trade Commission, in order for that deal to go through, they prohibited InBev from owning the U.S. property Modelo. So those sales actually are counted on Constellation Brands, that company. Okay, so yeah, when you look at the website for InBev, Modelo is on there because they do profit from it outside the United States. But here in the United States, Anheuser-Busch just gave away business to Constellation Brands. Modelo surpassed Bud Light's $297 million, which was a 22.8% fall in sales compared to the same time last year. In its first time since 2001 that Bud Light has not been in the top spot, it is the first time since then, dethroning its sister brand Budweiser, okay, for the King of Beer title in 2001. So, you know, they had 2 hit records back to back, basically, at Budweiser and then Bud Light, you know, so they were feeling pretty good because it was the same company, right? It was the same, essentially the same brand, just a slightly more watery flavor of the water that they were selling under the Budweiser brand. Bill Newlands, the CEO of Modelo Especial's owners, Constellation Brands, said the increase in sales had happened quicker than they anticipated. We thought, this is a quote, we thought that would take a little longer. We've been very fortunate that that's gone a little quicker than we had anticipated. But what a great position to be in on the beer side, he told Newsweek. He's saying on the beer side because Constellation Brands, they sell other things. Fresca is one of their brands. They sell a whole bunch of stuff. U.S. sales of Modelo are controlled by rival Constellation brands and do not count as part of Anheuser-Busch InBev's global volumes as part of an antitrust settlement. Okay, we just went over that. Anheuser-Busch and Constellation did not immediately respond to a request for comment from the Daily Mail. According to consultancy firm Bump Williams Consulting, Modelo sales were $341.9 million in the week ending May 27, compared with Bud Light sales of about $298.6 million. Okay, so they pretty much blew them out of the water. That's an appreciable difference. However, longer-term trends show that Bud Light remains the top-selling beer in the U.S. this year so far. Absolutely. They got damn near 6 months worth of sales out there. And this thing, the boycott does not predate the beginning of the year. Okay. So we'll see. It would be very embarrassing. And look, if the trend continues, then Modelo or some other brand is going to be the top-selling beer simply because we got 6 months left, roughly. And Bud Light is no longer the number one beer. So if the trend continues, there's more embarrassment in store for Bud Light. And this is another thing. They're saying the Heinerschein and her boss are on leave. They're not on leave. You're not on leave when you lose your company damn near $30 billion. You're not on leave. You're fired. I don't know why Bud is so reluctant to come out and say that. Let me get into a little bit of the corporate mindset. I was there, people. I know the level of arrogance in the corporate mindset. I'm telling you, you've got to be of strong character, because a lot of these people in corporate America, once they get a title bestowed upon them, oh my God, you can't tell them anything, okay? So this is the reason why they're trying to obfuscate and say that, she's on leave. Come on, guys, she ain't coming back, okay? They think they're so much smarter. And I've dealt with corporations and different people from corporate America extensively, okay, in my career in that realm, all right? And that's one of the reasons why I left, because I couldn't understand. You got a title that somebody bestowed upon you. They've got a title that somebody bestowed upon them. They internalize that. It becomes a part of their ego. And, I just wasn't for it. So I started to become more and more of a fish out of water. In any event, that is why they never apologize. They damn sure not apologizing now. And that is why they keep insisting that Heinerschein is on leave. Okay, come on. If a young man or young lady at the cash register at a McDonald's comes up short by $5 on the evening count, they're going to be shown the door. Okay? So, come on. You lost $27 billion and you still working for them? Not hardly. All right. Let's see. The long-term trends, we went over that, shows that Bud Light is still the top-selling beer for the year. Bud Light sales count for 9.1% of the total market in 2023, while Modelo has 8%. So they're nipping on their heels and not far away. Got more than enough time to make it up. This represents a gap of several $100 million. Experts previously warned that Modelo would topple Bud Light for the title, with sales week ending May 20th plunging 25.7% for Bud Light and soaring 9.2% for their rival. Simple mathematics, guys. If you're in a race with another car, you got your car, they got theirs, and you're flying down the road and you're slightly behind, but then your competitor slams on brakes and starts going in reverse, you win. All right. So that's what's going on. And look, the influencer that they, got into bed with, can't blame that person. Okay. Just is an influencer, is someone who, goes out there and seeks advertising in order to make revenue. But like, you made the decision to get involved. Okay. What'd you expect? We'll turn the deal down. It comes after reports. All this comes after reports confirmed that sales of Bud Light dropped 23.9% for the week ending May 27th. Bud Light also lost nearly 28% in year-on-year volume. God, they're just losing all over the place. Anheuser-Busch's other flagship beer, Budweiser, also recorded a drop of 8.5%, while Natural Light and Stella Artois saw a 1.5% to 3% drop. So they're suffering across the brands. And again, the gay community out in California, they were like, look, we got bars. We're not just taking home a six-pack, okay? We are selling volume, and we're not touching Anheuser-Busch products. Now, what could Anheuser-Busch have done? Stay the hell away from a hot-button topic, okay? A polarizing topic. And it's a shame, too, because this multi-billion-dollar company, you know they should have the types of minds in there that could have gotten around a conference room table and said, look, guys, half the public is, incensed about this. The other half is wild about it. Losing formula for us. And then, on the other hand, if we're talking about trying to gain new markets, who's to say that this community, the LGBTQ community, doesn't drink our beer now? Okay, do we really need to do anything else, especially targeting them if they're drinking our beer now? And obviously they were, because, again, the bars that are owned by members of the LGBTQ community, okay, they were serving it. So this is going to be a lesson. This is going to be an expensive lesson. This is going to be a lesson that winds up in business school textbooks, okay? People are going to write papers about this and be talking about it for quite some time. Anheuser-Busch said earlier this month it was going to triple its marketing spending in the U.S. this summer. Yeah, they just did an ad with Ken Griffey Jr. and his dad. I love Ken Griffey Jr. He's my era of, when I was a teenager coming up, and Ken Griffey Jr., all the greats that were out there, Jordan and Tyson and all those guys. That's why I don't watch sports now, professional sports, because I feel as though I've seen it all. I've seen the greatest. LeBron James, give me a break. So, great. I love Ken Griffey Jr., but I wasn't drinking Bud before. But I've heard several people comment on the Bud advertisement featuring Ken Griffey Jr. and Ken Griffey Sr. say that, hey, look, love these guys to death. I'm not drinking no Bud Light. So, look, conservatives, this is the path forward. If you want to hit them in the pockets, okay? If you want to make a stand, I've always said, all you got to do is pick one product. Like if you don't like CNN, for example, right? I'm going to boycott CNN. That's too broad, okay? People will turn it on and they'll get their ratings from Nielsen. No, what you got to do is you got to target one product. And look, generally, I'm not for boycotts, okay, per se. But in this case, when it involves going after children to hypersexualize them, yeah, boycott away, okay? Because corporations need to understand that ain't cool. All right, look, guys, that video that I did, it's the documentary about BlackRock. I looked at the trends and the data on that video, and something very screwy is going on with it. I believe that because I am talking about BlackRock and really delving into what they're doing with these woke corporate policies that Budweiser has fallen victim to, that video is being suppressed. I really think so, okay? Check that video out if you haven't already. Now, if you have, do me a favor. Share it, okay? Just send it to someone. Tell them, if you think it's worth doing, tell them to watch that video, okay? Tell them to watch that mini documentary. All right, guys, I'll talk to you soon.